install the DSV BOV breathing hose assembly to head assembly and counterlungs. So now I'm going to go ahead and connect to the counterlungs, the top coupling. Some things to note. Innerspace Systems has a left-hand thread and a right-hand thread. Right-hand side, or the right shoulder, is right-hand thread. The left side is the left-hand thread. Okay, so this is going to go the opposite way. It's not righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. You want to be careful you don't cross-thread anything. Take your time screwing this together. You don't have to tighten these down tight at all. All you need to do is just screw them down and then stop. They don't need to be tight on there. All right, now I'm going to gently pick up the head of the unit itself. Clear some wires and some hoses. Remove my dust caps. I'm going to install the left breathing hose first to the head. That's important. If I don't do that first and I do the inhalation side first, then if I did the inhalation side first, I would not have enough room to get my fingers inside to put the exhale hose on. Of course, I check the O-rings. And that's a left-hand thread. And I kind of pull up on the hose here, which makes it easy for me to screw down the exhalation hose. All right, next, inhalation hose. Check for O-rings, good to go. And of course, it's all lubricated on the inside. And I start screwing it down. A good little technique that your instructor should teach you is if you have plastic to plastic threaded connectors, go the opposite way of the thread till you hear a click, and then start turning in the proper way to start screwing down the coupling. And again, these don't have to be tight. I'm done, good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and lay it down. Install ADV, it's already on there. And low pressure supply hoses to counterlungs. And secure all hoses and wired cables to harness assembly. So my high pressure hoses, low pressure hoses, all my cables to the HUD and everything, they get routed on the system right now. This probably takes the most amount of time. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to my BOV QC6 fitting. That's going to go down the inside of the counterlung. And I'll run it right through the D-ring. That's optional, you don't have to do that. And through a piece of bungee at the bottom of the left side of the chest strap. Go ahead, here's my BC inflator hose. Go ahead and connect that. Get that out of the way. Straighten that out. This can go down the left counterlung on its Velcro fixtures. That's good. Next thing is my isolator, my ADV supply hose. Make sure you lock down your isolator valve, turn the gas off. You don't want to turn this thing on and have it spray everywhere. So I have some Velcro, or excuse me, bungees on the back of my breathing hose here that I like to run my hoses through to keep them cleaner, keeps it a little bit more professional looking. And I'll go ahead and screw this on to my ADV. And again, it's in the off position. All right, that's good to go. And my high pressure gauge. Got my display, I'll do something with that here in a moment. I'm gonna run my display down the inside of the counterlong. My high pressure gauge, and I'm gonna put it on the bungee to keep that out of my way. All right, left side looks done except for the display cable, and I'm going to secure it to the top Velcro fixture with my BC hose. That's good to go. Right side, here's my O2 supply hose. I'll run it through the bungee along my back breathing hose. Connect it up to my oxygen manual bypass. I've got my HUD. Go ahead and run it through the bungee. So that's all nice and clean, out of the way, snag free. Okay, so I've got the HUD secured with the bungees on the back. I'm gonna go ahead and take the cable right here. I'm gonna run it to the inside of the breathing hose, and then I'm gonna secure it to the HUD holder right here. If you want to, you can do another turn if you want, or put a turn on the back here. This kind of frees up so I can pivot my head properly. It fits people differently, so you need to find out what works for you. The important thing is don't let the HUD just sit out here so it can get snagged on things. All right, that's done. Shear water. I'm going to lock it down into the inhalation Velcro fixture. That keeps things clean, snag free. And I've got my O2 pressure gauge. And this is gonna go down the inside of the inhalation counterlong, go into the bungee. All right, good to go. Activate electronics and set the PO2 to 0.2 set point. So the electronics themselves have already turned on because I connected the network, and you can see that it's in pre-breathe mode. You also see checklist and bypass. Turn on the shear water. Okay, good to go. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to go down to bypass on the handset itself, and right now it's set for 0.2 mode. That means the solenoid is turned off at 1 atmosphere here at sea level. You're breathing roughly 20.9% or 0.209. So the default for the handset is 0.2. Unless you're up at altitude, you should not hear the solenoid engage. All right. So the system is locked into 0.2 and activated. Set electronics calibration reference, oxygen percent, and altitude settings if necessary. So I'm gonna go through here to calibrate mode, and you'll see this later on another video. And I'm looking down in calibrate mode. It says my air reference for calibration is air. And my altitude is at 0 feet. I'm good to go there. All right, so I'm gonna put 21%, it's my reference gas for calibrating, and my altitude is 0 feet or meters. Conduct an eye scan and secondary handset air point, or 100% calibration if appropriate, at ambient air pressure. Note the millivolt values. So I'm gonna go through here, and I go to device, and I see handset, solenoid, and HUD. Remember, this is in calibrate mode. Calibrate handset, calibrate the solenoid, calibrate the HUD. I'm done. Done with calibration. And I'm gonna go ahead and get out of that. And I'll go to the sensor menu, and I'll write down the millivolts on the sensors, and I'm reading 21 across the board. So on sensor 1, I've got 10.9, 11.5, 10.7, all within the range. And the range for the ISC sensors is in between 9 and 13 millivolts And of course, this is at sea level, right? Not at altitude, not below sea level. This is at sea level. All right, so I'm good to go there. Wrote down that. Let's go and calibrate the petrol. The petrol is designed with our product, with the Apex Force system, to have an air point calibration. So I'll go ahead and go to calibrate, set for 21, calibrate. Looks good to go, and it's all calibrated. Next thing I'll do is I'll go in, go to the millivolts, 10.9, 11.7, 10.7. Now I'm going to go ahead and look at those numbers. I'm comparing. 10.9 sensor 1 looks great. 11.5 here, 11.7 here, perfect. 10.7 on sensor 3, 10.7 on sensor 3. If they're off a little bit, that's okay. That's normal. Remember the electronics between the shear water and this system here. Those are two different sets of electronics that are truly independent of each other. If they read exactly the same, that's great. If they read just a little off within like 1 or 2 millivolts, that's okay too. All right, so now I'm going to sign off. I calibrated, wrote down, sensors are within spec. That's 9 to 13 millivolts at sea level. All right, once done with that, 22, inspect all hand tight fittings. Anything I screwed together on this thing, I'm going to recheck. If you think this is stupid, no, it's not. I've seen people that failed to do this, and they've had accidents underwater where the loop was physically blew itself off on the ascent. That's good, that's good, that's good, and that's good.